Yes. Okay. For all of those people who complain that I look at my phone too much on the show, that's what I hear. Okay. So here's the phone tonight.
You do.
Okay.
You do.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm not.
You're looking at your phone constantly.
I'm listening, though. It's not. Do I need to look at you or do I need to listen to you?
Yeah, but it's still a distraction.
I listen to you. It's a radio show. We're doing a radio. I know they have video.
It's not about the look. I'm just saying it's like, I don't really look at you, so I know what you do. It doesn't really bother me, but it is kind of like odd.
No, it's not. It's a sports information
the implication
show.
is you're not paying attention.
No, it's not. I'm listening, right? I don't have to look at you or be like this during the whole segment.
Well, it's not so much that you're looking at your phone. I'll give you that.
I want information.
But it's just that you're not the appearance or the implication. Now, it might not be true, but the appearance and implication is that you're not paying attention.
But it's not true.
No, it isn't, but it looks that way.
Right. So anyway, for the first hour of this program, this telephone.
First hour?
Yes.
Why can't you do it the whole 3
No,
hours?
I want to do it for an hour and see if people are happy. Here we go. Here's the phone. It's going in this bag right here.
People is probably 3 people.
It's going in this bag.
Let's not overstate it.
And we're good to go. All right, let's do the show.
You got 2 tweets.
I got 1 million tweets on this.
Yeah, okay.
I paid for 1 million tweets, and I got them.
All right, it is the odd couple.
Whatever, USC
Parker.
Chris. Whatever.
Oh, you allowed him to play that? You used to get mad when we played that.
Whatever.
Or was it Mr. Softy?
No, I'm never Mr. Softy.
It was. All right, let's move on. The odd couple. All right, Rob. Joe Montana, who you feel like is the GOAT quarterback, made some strong comments about who he thinks is the best quarterback ever. Wasn't Tom Brady, wasn't Patrick Mahomes, wasn't Aaron Rodgers, wasn't himself. It was Dan Marino. And is there sound of it or is it just the quotes? Okay, I'll read the quotes then. These were stated in Men's Health magazine. And here is what Montana said. He said Dan Marino was the best quarterback ever. He said he had a quick release. I had to step into a lot of things to get enough force on the ball. He had the perfect torque of his upper body and strength to deliver the ball quickly at a fast release with accuracy. He said, I think he is probably, let me back up. Put Marino into today's game where he gets free release and his receivers, holy cow, weren't that big, very big. Remember, he had Mark Duper. He did have some small receivers. And he says, now these guys are 6'4", 6'5". I think Marino is probably one of the most unsung heroes of the game. People don't talk enough about him or realize the numbers that he put up during the times that he put them up. And then he said the only quarterback he can see eventually passing Marino as the best ever or Tom Brady as the greatest ever. So he differentiated is Patrick Mahomes. So, Rob, your thoughts?
Oh, do I go now? I've been paying attention. I'm listening to you.
He's got Marino as the best ever, and Brady as the GOAT, the greatest.
No. Okay. First of all, when they break out and do that's like a cheap way out. I love.
Now you look like you're reading a newspaper.
Well, I'm just.
What is that?
This is the show.
It is a newspaper.
No, it's the show.
It's the show papers. Okay.
I'm just focusing in on the show. This is what they want me to do.
God forbid you just put them on the desk.
I'm focused in on the show. They want me to have my hand, so I need to hold something. So I'm holding.
They
paper.
is 3 people.
Okay,
y'all.
but that's it. All right.
Tony,
anyway,
Sean, and Mark.
No, those guys. Those guys have no issue.
Sacramento.
Those guys have no issue because.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's get to the topic.
Okay. The bottom line is this is a nice way for Joe Montana to dish Tom Brady and to not give Tom Brady his due and to not have to say that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback. So let me split it. Let me give it to a guy who never won anything. Dan Marino was an unbelievable quarterback. He really was when you look at the numbers and what he was doing back, Chris, when they used to run the ball. But he didn't win. And that is what always hampers people. Right. I say it all the time. Marv Levy went to 4 Super Bowls as a coach. Nobody says he's the greatest coach ever. Nobody. Because he didn't win, whether it was his fault or not. Nobody says he's the greatest. Because there's more to it. And Joe Montana, and I know Tom Brady grew up in the Bay Area and idolized Joe Montana. But Chris, by splitting saying the best and the greatest, because Tom Brady, you could argue, is the most accomplished quarterback because of what he's won and all that. Accomplished.
Right.
But this, and don't say that people don't give Dan Marino his due or credit. Chris, it wasn't that long ago people were saying that Dan Marino was in the conversation. He was.
Right.
Am I wrong? He was in that conversation. My point is, this is Joe Montana's way of not giving Tom Brady his due or having to say that Tom Brady is without having a conversation and bringing somebody else in. I remember when I interviewed Joe Montana at the Super Bowl. Rob G, we got that? And Chris, I wound up talking to him and just listen to this laugh when it came time for me to talk about Tom Brady with Joe Montana. Joe Montana, we appreciate it. For people who don't know, I call Joe Montana the GOAT, and I call Tom Brady the LOAT. You know what that stands for, Joe?
No.
The luckiest of all time. All right. There we go. Joe Montana here on the Couple. Chris, he laughed. He laughed. He loved that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if you gathered anything from your interview with him, or if there are reports out there, Rob G, if you know, do they have a relationship? Is there bad blood there between
There's no bad blood,
Brady and Montana or anything?
All I know is Brady has said that he idolized Montana as a kid growing up in the Bay Area. That would be crazy if he didn't, right? You grew up in the Bay Area.
A lot of similarities there too,
But anyway, Chris, that's my take on the Joe Montana. Splitting it, talking about best and greatest. I really believe that's what that is.
I do agree with you that, stop splitting hair. Like, come on. I don't know. I guess kind of, Rob, I get what people are saying when they say, oh, he's the best, but he's the greatest. Best seemingly being, just in a vacuum, that guy was the best, but the greatest is the one who can do it, who's accomplished more and, does it in a team setting and all of that, or I guess just has accomplished more. But I'm with you. Look, we only got time for one. All right, there's one GOAT in whatever categories we decide to discuss. This reminds me, Rob, of saying, like, we talked when Rob G filled in for you one night, Stan Van Gundy was saying, not on our show, but there was a clip of him saying, you can say Jordan is better than LeBron and make that argument, but you can't say he had a better career than LeBron. We've heard others say Jordan's the GOAT, but LeBron's had the best career of all time.
That makes no sense, right?
You're just trying to satisfy both guys. You're trying to protect yourself, right? And if you want to say LeBron's the GOAT,
just say it.
Just say he's the GOAT.
Right.
If you had a better career, what else are we judging you by? Your looks?
And here, right. None of it makes sense. And here's the other thing, too. When you split hairs like that, I think you're 100% right. You're trying to cover yourself.
Yep.
And because you got to see LeBron. You could easily say, right? You still got to see LeBron. Not that it didn't save him at ESPN, that he covered himself or covered his backside. But that's what that is, and that's where people always do that. And I just think, Chris, there is no right or wrong. We talk about it. Everybody has different ingredients as to what is important to them. Some people say winning, I don't care. Winning, it just means you were on greater teams and whatever. Some people say that shouldn't factor in. Some people look at just their career. Some people look at winning. I think winning matters, and I'm not beating up on Marv Levy, Chris, but I think it says a lot that Marv Levy took a team to 4 straight Super Bowls, and he's not in that conversation. That's a hell of a feat. Would you admit that?
It is, but like you said, ultimately it's about winning,
Yep.
and I agree. Like Dan Marino's almost. I don't know that anybody's like Wilt Chamberlain as far as the numbers, but Dan Marino is kind of like that, right? Like Wilt did win a couple of championships, but Marino's numbers, Rob, you said, I mean, just video game numbers.
No, back in those days, right?
Numbers that would be great today.
Yep.
Threw for over 4,000 yards, 3, 4, 5 times. Threw for 5,000 in his second year.
That was the year they went to the Super Bowl, right?
318 yards a game. I mean, ridiculous. Just so he was fantastic. And Rob, and I agree with something else you said about he does get his due. He does. If you look at he's obviously a Hall of Famer. If you look at the NFL's, remember they did the 100-year anniversary.
Right.
They did the best 100 players ever. They did basically 10 at each position for the most part. He was one of the top 10 quarterbacks.
There's no doubt about it. He gets his due. People talk about Dan Marino. I disagree that people don't know him or look at his numbers or recite his numbers because he didn't win. His numbers are that eye-popping. But Montana, splitting hairs and not picking it. I don't know. Was that, Rob G., was that an interview or was that a radio show?
It was an interview with Men's Health, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just an interview. But if it was a radio show, Chris, you got to push back.
Oh, you got to ask
Dan, Joe,
even
can you pick
in
one?
Interview, you
can you pick one?
If you're doing a print magazine interview, you can ask him. Last thing I'll say before we turn it over to the listeners, I don't think he was taking a shot at Brady. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like you said, he laughed when Brady was talked about it. You called him the LOAT. Maybe there's something there. I would say he's not going against Brady because, one, he does call him the GOAT. Now, again, he's splitting hairs, but still, he's got Marino as the best ever. Brady is the greatest ever. And he also says he himself is not the GOAT or the best.
Well, he shouldn't say it. I get that.
But we've seen LeBron say it. We've seen Steph say it now.
LeBron. Yeah,
well, Steph now has said he's, so some guys will do it. So I don't know that it was. And here's the thing, Rob. And I think Brady is the GOAT. But if you're just talking about throwing the football, like arm strength, physical ability, I don't know that very many people at all would say Brady was the best at that. You know what I mean? Now, he was great at all that, but there were better ones. But I believe he had great intangibles that helped him win. So I think he's the GOAT. But Aaron Rodgers in many ways, it throws it better.